Welcome back to Brave Ideas, where we chat with the leaders in commercial real estate to answer all questions, space as a service, and help office real estate reposition to meet the evolving demand from the future of work. If you're an investor, fund manager, developer, landlord, operator, property manager, agent, or broker, hit that subscribe button. If you prefer to watch or join the newsletter, head over to braveideas.media. I'm your host, Caleb Parker, and for this episode, I want to give a big thank you to the team at Mute for hosting us in their showroom in Clerkenwell, London for this episode. We're going to include a link into the show notes for Mute. My guest for this episode is James Panepinto, Group Ancillary Revenue Manager at Clockwise, and a strong voice in our industry on hospitality, community, and experience-led co-working. Joining me as co-host for this episode is Eyal Lasker, CEO of FlexSpace AI, our headline sponsor this season. James and I go back a few years. We opened Bold up in Manchester. And in that time, one thing's become very clear to me. He has strong views on why co-working is not just serviced office with better furniture. For James, this is a hospitality product. And if operators do not understand that, they're going to get left behind. In this episode, we talk about what hospitality really means in a workplace setting, not as a slogan, but in the small, practical details that shape how people feel in a space every single day. From how members are greeted, to how rooms are reset, to how teams remember preferences and create a sense of care. James explains why hospitality is not one grand gesture, but the accumulation of hundreds of small ones. We also get into the link between hospitality and performance, how community drives retention, and why programming has to evolve with the people in the building, and how strong operational systems can free up teams to spend more time doing the human work that actually matters. We also go deep on one of the most important themes in this season, how the best co-working brands create better economics by building places where people feel they belong, feel looked after, and want to stay and return to. Before we jump into the full conversation, here's a quick shout out for our headline sponsor, FlexSpace AI. If you're a flex operator still juggling spreadsheets and manual rate sheets, stop. You don't need to be a wizard to outsmart the big guys. You just need FlexSpace AI. It's your AI-powered revenue team that never sleeps, optimizing prices, automating marketing, and filling your space while you focus on your members. No burnout, no guesswork, no what-if tabs at 2 a.m. With FlexSpace AI, your building works as smart as you do. Now head over to flexspace.ai/brave and start growing your revenue today. Without further ado, let's jump into this episode with James. James, welcome to Brave Ideas.
Thank you for having me. Good to be here.
It is great to be here. Another episode in the Mute showroom in Clerkenwell with Eyal here from FlexSpace, going to be our co-host again. James, we've done one podcast in the past.
We have many years ago.
In our previous life together, we worked on a co-working space up in Manchester and Spinning Fields. And I have to say, I've grown accustomed to your beard over the years, and you still won't tell me what its name is.
It's grown on me, if that helps. It has come over the years. It takes many different forms.
I feel like it's like the talking point all the time. Every time we have a meeting with somebody new.
I'd like to say it's the entirety of my reputation, and I don't think I'll be here today if it wasn't for my beard. I mean, if there's one thing, it's beard, and I'm happy to base my entire personality on the fact that I am bearded.
Well, what's interesting to me is that, it's obviously clearly a personal brand thing, and you know who you are when you walk in the room, you see you on LinkedIn. But what I didn't expect is when you moved to Clockwise, I didn't know that you were going to make the HR policy that you have to hire bearded people. Obviously, shout out to your new chief commercial officer, Greg.
I mean, I like to say I set the precedent, but Greg and many others in the Clockwise team has very good taste in terms of how their faces are dressed. I'm
obviously being funny here, but I was thankful that when you introduced me to Scarlett yesterday at Juicy, she didn't have a beard like yours.
No, she's tried, I believe, over the years, but Scarlett, no. But a special shout out to Scarlett, particularly she just hit 100% occupancy this week.
In Bristol?
Bristol, absolutely killing what she's doing. Really setting the standard for the city down there. Just needs to work on the beard skills.
I think I've learned more from you after the couple years we worked together. You've been writing articles on Brave Ideas. We've been catching up on your career progress at Clockwise. But what you're doing for community at Clockwise and the hospitality approach that you take, to me, those two things combine, like amplify the Clockwise brand And I want to just have a chat around that because you've got some strong opinions. In a nutshell, if you could define, I don't know, in one line or two lines, what is hospitality?
A one line is hard, but hospitality is, it's not a physical, tangible item. It's how one feels whilst interacting with something. I think people try and interact and interchange service and hospitality. And I think they're two entirely different things. Hospitality is an experience that one has whilst interacting with a service or a product.
So, are we in the serviced office industry, service, or are we in the hospitality industry?
Hospitality. Co-working is a hospitality product all day and all day, and I think anyone who says otherwise is wrong. I think there is a serviced office industry. I don't think co-working is within that parameters of the space.
What are you doing on a practical basis, on site, on a day-to-day basis? And I want to maybe give a hat tip to a recent article you wrote.
Okay.
You said it's not some big statement. Hospitality is in the what?
Yeah, so hospitality is not one grand big gesture, and it's something I've spoken about, and it's I'd like to think it's my profound sort of statement. It's not. It's when you look at a restaurant, you outlay something called set standards of service, and that basically lists from inception all the way down to the bottom of every touch point that a customer may have during the point of service. It's then applying that same principle to co-working. How does one interact with the entrance team? How do you book a space? How does the space look on entry? What can you see? What can you smell? What can you hear? Something's broken. How quickly is that fixed? You leave a meeting room and how quickly is the glass put back in the position that it was? And I don't think that if you walked into a space and then there was a banner with your name and a red carpet out, it would have the same weight as that if you walked into a space and, hey Caleb, great to see you, I've got a flat white on the table ready for you. I remember you wanted oat milk and here it is and ready to go. And I think that sentiment would resonate a lot higher than that one big grand gesture.
I mean, it's how you make people feel. Exactly what you said. It's
100%.
a feeling. I don't want to call this devil's advocate, but we are also in the real estate industry, and there's a lot of real estate people that I think maybe discount this a bit. Not that they disagree, but it's maybe not the priority. Why is it the priority?
The industry's changed so much over the years. Everyone's seen it. There's so many operators in the game now. There's so many non-flex people coming into flex, and we even see a lot of hospitality operators and are now coming into the space. Look at Convene recently; they've rebranded themselves as a hospitality company. You look at the likes of Hoxton, which at core is a hotel business, now moved in co-working. If you want to stand out in a very, very, very difficult field, one of the ways to do so is to give that hospitality and service. If you want to set up and do a business center or a business site and then you want it purely transactional, you're checking at the front desk, there's your room, off you go, wonderful, great. That's not co-working. That's not hospitality. That's not really the way the industry is working towards. And if you don't take this hospitality or service or experience side serious, you're just going to get left behind, or you're not going to be able to charge the rates or the premium that one would expect, widely, that you need to hit in order to pay whoever you need to pay out.
I've said this many times on this podcast that the future of office or the co-working industry looks like the hotel industry. And what do people want? Companies want people back in the office, but it's not a good look to mandate that they come. People need to want to be there, and companies need to understand that they might not come every day. That's becoming sort of a cliche statement now,
Yeah.
But what I believe is that people want a place that they can go and they feel like they belong.
Yeah.
We heard that at Juicy yesterday. They also want to feel like they're taken care of. They want to feel taken care of by the team that's there. They want to feel taken care of by their company because their company chose that place because they know they're going to feel taken care of. And to me, feeling like you belong requires the community. Feeling taken care of requires the hospitality. And going back to what I said earlier, those two combined, if you're delivering community and hospitality for a specific target customer that aligns with your values, then that's what creates brand. So how are you taking hospitality and community to amplify the Clockwise brand?
So Clockwise, I mean, it's a statement that always gets thrown around. It's more than just a desk, or you're not just paying for a desk and Wi-Fi. And I think one of the core values of Clockwise is that You can go and get a desk anywhere. I can go to Starbucks now. They've got Wi-Fi, they've got PowerPoints, they've got USB sockets, they've got coffee, there's music, there's someone sat next to me who's doing whatever it is that they're doing. Why would I want to come somewhere like Clockwise? Is because you do get the genuine hospitality, you do get the genuine community, you do get the team who know who you are and what you do and genuinely care. I can't think of one individual across the entirety of the Clockwise portfolio that doesn't care about the members within the building, but almost resonates on a personal level. It's not fabricated. There's no HR indoctrination that you need to hit X, Y, and Z KPI in order to consider yourself a community team member. It's every site team and every site level and head office and everyone else really has this genuine feeling of positivity towards their community and really want to sort of cultivate that and build it up in their own individual locations.
This caring reminds me of the Care Bears. We care. We got those things shooting out your bellies and stuff. But I think there's 100% truth to that, and that comes out in every single touch point, down to the details you were describing earlier. But I think it also goes into not just reactive, but proactive. And Coral, the last speaker at Juicy yesterday, was talking about how to program out ways to make people feel that they belong and that you care. How do you see that working?
Personalization. You and I have discussed it many times, and back when we were together, we always discussed that it's again just a name drop, something that always gets name dropped. It's a cultivation of community. It's an ecosystem. It adapts. It evolves. You have to move with it. Once you start essentially mandating that every third Tuesday we need to have QuickBooks 101 session in meeting room 1, that's when the community and the reality and the genuine stuff fails. You need to meet the community where they are and where they are going. And you just need to be that versatile and forever changing. And that's where sort of the spot that you need to be working towards is.
How do you know what they want and where they're going?
Speak to them. Ask them. They're there. The members of the community. You are part of that community. You pass them in the hallways. You put an event and it fails tremendously because no one shows up. Don't put the same event on 3 times more than that.
James, can you sort of go more into the tangible aspects of how you're delivering this at Clockwise?
Yeah, so a really key example of Clockwise is we have our own hospitality brand called Two Hands, which sits predominantly in our communal space called the Club Lounge, which becomes the anchor point for our community spaces. It's a place that people congregate, it's people where people interact, it's where the vast majority of our community engagement events lie. It's because that's the sort of key area of the space. It's a space that changes and evolves throughout the day. We change it and evolve depending on the events. We bring in a florist and the table moves from here to there. We have a networking session. All the tables go out. It's become an art, almost a joke now, and specifically in Manchester, how quickly we can change the room 3, 4, 5 times a day even to help activate and move the spaces around to match the community or what's going on in the area. So another thing that we do specifically in Manchester and throughout the Clockwise brand is we align ourselves with organizations and individuals where we see similar energy, similar cohesiveness, and we partner with them to host or co-host events within the community space. We do stuff in Manchester such as the Founders Coffee Club, where every month they host a networking session for founders throughout the Manchester scene. They come to space. We work with the Institute directors, which utilise Manchester as a hub for their members, and in turn our members interact with them, and it really adds to that sort of community because it's not the same people every day. It's not James putting on his events program, which, as much as I like it to be differentiation every single day and every single year, it can sort of go over each other. And by adding those elements, it's layering it on top of the foundation that's already been put in place to really add that value to the people who won't come to every event, but that 1 or 2 events they do interact with does get that value from.
Can you teach community building? I mean, every community manager at every building, right, is a different person with a different personality. But is there a training or a program that you run at Clockwise to kind of have this cohesive community experience?
Could I sit there and write a book and a manual of community, and there's your, there's a community book. Go and follow the steps 1, 2, 3, 4, and you've got a successful community. No. Could you write a book on how to launch a business and make it successful? No. It all depends on the individual, and again, going back to the individual has to care. It has to be genuine. You can't force community. You can't put it in a bottle and add water and then there you go, you're good to go. But you can teach people and how to react and how to move and how to read the people that you are working alongside, and again, meet them where they are. But something I always go back to, and something when another shout out, Athena is my community lead in Manchester. One of the questions that we always ask is, what value is this event or community engagement is adding to the ecosystem? What we're doing? If you were to put on a drinks evening once a month, every month, and bring in a drinks cart and off you go and have fun, great. But is that a community event, or is that just a drinks cart? Where's the win? Where's the return on this? Where's the value? Why can one go to this event with us at Clockwise and not go down the road to another operator and do the exact same event?
The biggest challenge, I think, to me, because we're in real estate and hospitality and where they overlap, you've got to make sure that it is a business and it's performing. Mm-hmm. And so as a general manager, as a community manager, how do you balance playing in the spreadsheets and delivering this human touch and knowing everybody's names and being proactive to make sure that they feel taken care of?
About it like it's siloed, like it's one or the other. It's not. It's the same thing. By us layering this service model, this hospitality model, this model, it leads into retention. It leads into renewal rates. It leads into demanding higher desk rates than less hospitality, less events forward operated down the road. So by having this built into your cost modeling and your projections and your churn rates, it helps ultimately. We are in real estate. We are a business. We have to make money. It's like saying to a chef, it's like, let's do the best food in the entire world, but your budget is nothing. So there's not much you can do on it.
Yes, but I need to get a deeper answer from you on this, because I won't name names here, but in our previous life, I wanted you to spend I would have been happy you spent 99% of your time with the members and the community, the horizontal community around the building, bringing people in, putting on these amazing, but you also needed to spend time on the operational aspects of the business. Yeah. So how do you find the balance between the two and not compromise?
Before I worked in the industry, I worked in hospitality, bars, restaurants, all the fun things. I was the general manager of a bar in Ancoats, Manchester. The owner of the restaurant used to ask me, why do you spend so much time behind the bar curating these drinks programs when you need to do payroll? Yeah. I had fantastic bartenders. I had great mixologists and great guys and girls who knew their stuff, and I wasn't utilizing them enough to put out this drinks program. Equally now, I have a very good team. I'm very, very blessed to have such a great team at Clockwise Manchester. Everyone has their lane, everyone has their role, everyone has the autonomy and power, because I trust them to pull off and execute everything that needs to put off. And by doing so, it allows me the freedom to take that step back, to look at it from more a strategic point of view, to look at it from more of a let's push in the right direction kind of view, rather than spending my time fighting fires and getting in and amongst it. So I do have the ability to jump in and jump out where I need to, but really focus where the business needs me to focus on.
You mentioned before that community building translates into business results like retention, stickiness, average desk rate. And, before we started recording, you said that you're just working on the budget for next year.
Yep.
So I'm just curious so this is kind of the connection between the spreadsheet and the community aspect of it. How do you, now thinking about budget for 26, where do you budget, or how are you thinking about events and community building, and how it ties back to the business results?
So, wonderful question. It's you look at the industry average of churn rate and the likelihood that someone may or may not leave the business. I know, or we know, we can, in order to match rising costs, we need to do renewal retention based on the retention rate. And the renewal rate, I can sort of broadly estimate where I'm going to be. I look at the Manchester market. I see what everyone else is doing. I understand their desk rates and their pricing and what they're offering overnight. There's been some wonderful spaces open in Manchester for the last year, but that has really kicked the industry to sort of step up and look at what we can doing. I look at where my budget needs to lay out over the last year, where it's been successful, and do I need to replicate that going the coming year in order to do that retention? We've seen in Clockwise Manchester specifically a surge almost in very specific industry within the location, legal, which is great. We now have a home to 6 legal companies. So we've adapted and are adapting our events and community engagement program to be better suited to those from a legal possession rather than historically, which it may have been marketing or startups and entrepreneurships. And by doing so, we can continue to retain the desk rates that we are on.
So that's interesting to me. And I've always, I've had this debate with Ian a little bit. If we get too much of one category, does that sway things in the location, or do you be flexible, or do you maintain flexibility to cater to that particular category? When it comes to brand, if you do grow in one category like that, how do you ensure you can maintain that flexibility but not compromise the brand values?
Yeah. So Clockwise as a whole, we don't specialize in any particular field or industry or whatever level. We do have up to now a very broad mix of businesses at levels of different backings. If we did a full stack or a full foreplay of, again, recruitment companies, for example, it could be detrimental to the brand, to the building, to the space. You do have multiple people working in the same space. You could even be competing with one another, and that doesn't give that coherent feeling. If you do get to it, the wonderful high occupancy rate where you can start becoming slightly more picky with who comes in or which leads to pursue, which areas to pursue, you are still able to curate that.
There was an event I went to with Spaces to Places a few weeks ago in London, and they had a report called, I think it's the Voice of the Customer report.
Yeah.
And it sort of broke down the different brands and different customer demand and what type of products they're getting and what brands they're going into, all this stuff, right? And there was a panel of a couple of different operators, and I think it was Zach Goodman was on the panel from TSP, and he talked about how he thinks the niche category co-working brands where they're catering, like Space Maid's going really deep on one particular category in a couple of their locations. And Zach's position is, we're open to anyone, but we're not going to cater. We're going to give them a base. Here's what we provide to you base, and here's what you can customize around that. And his position was that the niche categorization is okay, and the, I guess, generic offering is okay. There's plenty of room for all of the above. Do you agree with that?
Yes and no. Again, just to be diplomatic.
You don't have to be diplomatic.
No, you can't. If you try and cater to everyone, you could fall down the trap of catering to no one, and that's not what I'm saying. But equally, if you go down a very specific niche, the market might not get that, or you might not meet the market. I think the idea is, touching back what we discussed about community, is being versatile and adapting. I'm not going to sit here and do the budget for next year and lay out 12 months of events programming or community engagement, because now, from 4 months from now, that could drastically change, and then we could have an uplift of startups, and then we would look at startups and entrepreneurship programs and so on and so forth. I do feel if you commit, if you are going down the media, if you are going down the content creation, hit it. Don't do it half. Don't do it, yeah, I promise you we are about content creation, and then have one podcast studio in the basement somewhere and get lost.
If you have certain values, you want to attract customers that are aligned with those values, you're going to deliver hospitality and community for those people, you sort of have to curate your programming. And so therefore, if you're going to go hard on a brand-led offering, I believe, could be wrong, and I don't think it has to be, zero sum, but I believe if you go that route, you have to plan out for the next year. So when you attract those customers, they know what they're going to get. that's not to say this approach is the wrong approach for you or for anyone else, but what's your views on that?
I would ask you the question, do you?
Okay.
If you, again, it's relatively close to home, but if you were to set up a brand that caters purely to entrepreneurship and startups and businesses, and then you and I sat in a room and said, right, we're going to launch this brand, we're going to launch this building, we're going to have X amount of members and growth rate between all this. And then we sat there and did, right, community program, we're going to do Instagram marketing masterclass every single month. We're going to bring in a brand expert. They're going to sit in a room, people are going to drop in, and then that's going to be work. But then we launch, and all the startups that are coming in are marketing startup companies who don't give a shit about Instagram marketing, because why are you telling me something I don't know? I already know. We've catered to the entrepreneur. We've sat there and we've thought, what do entrepreneurs need? But then we didn't adapt to our community that's in the space. Therefore, the community events failed. So although you can broadly structure a community engagement program around what you envision your community to be, stagnancy is going to kill you because you've not adapted to or listened to your community. So do you know more than your community? Are you more than your customer base? No. Change it.
This is why I like you, James.
Thank you.
You always make me think differently. And it reminds me of something Dan Harvey from CBRE in San Francisco said. He has strong opinions held loosely.
Yeah, absolutely. Good way of looking at it.
Okay, so you're looking at your 26 budgets.
Yeah.
You guys are just taking on some more space, growing the footprint.
Yep.
You've got to sell private offices. You've got co-working memberships. You've got meeting rooms, events. Is your aim to get 100% occupancy and all of your income's coming from those people? How much business do you do with externals?
I don't think anyone wants to be 100% all the time. It bottlenecks everything. It again, just we keep going over it. Flexibility. It kills your flexibility. It doesn't work. You don't have room for people to grow. We don't have room for people to come up through the products. I think generally the goal is to be obviously busy enough and pay bills and get everything sorted and everyone happy who needs to be happy in the accounts team, and everything's green and on the scorecards and the KPI sheets. But ultimately, I think it's we are an office business. We do predominantly rely on offices, but it's looking at the additional revenue lines such as co-working, the transient day passes, the meeting rooms, the internal and external events. Why do we need to close the office at 5 o'clock and go home? And then when we've got this beautiful space that's sitting empty, across the Clockwise portfolio, we do weddings, we do networking, we do food pop-ups, we do paint and sip classes, dance classes, we have bars, we have restaurants. It's all this beautiful space that's trying to be utilized in the best physical way possible, and maintaining that balance between your internal community and also your wider business community in the industry and the networks that you work in. Going back to the Founders Network, they are a network of founders across Manchester. They're not necessarily fixed members of the Clockwise Manchester community, but because this is on, they do get brought into the building and in turn become wider members of the community.
Well, it gets complex when you have these wider members of the community. You've got the balance with your members and then the budgets you need to hit. You don't want to get 100% occupancy because you need to leave room for the externals, because presumably they're going to pay more anyways for consuming a shorter time period. So how do you look at that from a pricing strategy?
How do you balance the in between? If you turn around to me now and go, right, I really want you to focus on events, external events, and I go away and I work really hard and many late hours and get to every session I need to get to bring people in the building, and then every single day I've got a big networking session downstairs. I take up all the community space and take up all the coffee space and put events on, loud music. It's just going to piss everyone off. You're bringing people into their space, paying to be part of their community, and I'm favouring an external event over there. If you sell me to rent an apartment and you're moving upstairs, but then I sell the ground floor to a nightclub, you're not going to want to stay there as often as you can. So it's all about finding that right balance again. And I have made mistakes. I have overexerted both ways. So it's learning, adapting, and moving forwards. So while you're here, I'd love to ask you a question, if I may. Something that I always want to know about and like to know more about is how I can better balance and structure my pricing specifically, not just fixed spaces, but also the transient, the meeting rooms.
Yeah. So, and I think that's where technology is really doing a good job, because for you, right, the effort that you need to put to understand, gather, collect, and analyze market data is huge, right?
Absolutely.
Right, and that's also can change, month over month, or there's like this cadence of change that the data that you gather can be already old, and you cannot use it anymore, not relevant in a couple of weeks or a couple of months. So what technology is doing, where technology is powerful, is just to give you the power, the tools to gather data, analyze it, right, and come back with the most impactful insights in real time, 24/7, right? So instead of you spending the time and effort to eventually come back with an answer that might be already not up to date.
Sometimes it's a guess as well. Sometimes it's we've found this report, this data, and we've tried to do a guess, and it's not in the air and saying, "Hey, I sort of saw that."
Right. So now you have this like superpower, right? You have this like 24/7, assistants, if you will, business assistant that does this work for you, right? And comes back and always kind of find the most updated price point for your space, for your location, and for the customers that are coming and looking into booking your space. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely. And I genuinely think that's as an industry we need to move towards, because why do hotels do that?
Right. So we talked about hospitality, and
Yes.
obviously you are coming from the hospitality industry. And, I think we all collectively are trying to push our industry into more like become more similar to hospitality. And dynamic pricing is a core tenant in hospitality, right? Therefore, I think now is really the time for us to start pushing and having this concept, because eventually it's better for the operators, but it's also better for the customers.
Great. No, it's exciting. I'm really looking forward to see where this can go in the industry. I really hope a lot of people can pick up this type of pricing.
You talk about providing all this information for them to make intelligent decisions from a smart pricing perspective, but like how does that work practically? Like how are you gathering this data and then presenting it back to James?
So we integrate with your backend system, with your property management system. We extract all the past data. We feed that into the AI model, which will then create a predictive analytics into how your prices and your demand and supply will look into the future. And then in real time, every day, it will test the projection versus the reality, layer on top of that market data, and that's how you'll get the price point for each asset that you have in your portfolio.
Can I use that to predict future trends?
Yeah, definitely. So the model every day the model runs, and the outcome is 6 months price prediction into the future, and that's being updated every day. So every day you get 6 months prediction of how your demand is going to look like.
Takes the guesswork out. Takes the legwork out.
Yeah, and with every interaction, the model updates, the numbers and updates itself, right? So every day we get new set of data from how many people are looking at your spaces, how many converted, how many did not convert, right? What price point have they seen to convert or not? So all of this data goes back into the model. So every day it gets better and better and better based on analyzing your actual users, website visitors, and the people that come and book the space.
So we've got the system. It's predicted the pricing. It's predicted the flow for the 6 months. Do I then need to go onto each individual site team's site and manual update each asset, or?
No, so the price will be automatically updated into the e-commerce platform, so into the user flow. When the user, and again, that's really much similar to how you come and book a room at a hotel, right? So you start the journey, you open the date picker, you see the different prices. That's the same how our e-commerce platform works, where the prices are just being automatically updated without you needing to do anything. The system is working for you.
Great.
No, I just thought it'd be interesting to have this conversation here because I know we've talked about in our past lives about different pricing on different days for meeting rooms and even different for day passes as well.
Different hour of the day, different pricing. You're busy at 1 p.m. You quiet at 5 p.m. Why can't you drop the pricing?
Exactly, and then to go through and think about that in the spreadsheet and looking at all the data from the operating system, it's quite a time intensive task, and if it can be done automatic.
I've seen it.
But I just wanted AL to hear your thoughts around this, and I'm a big fan of what these guys are doing. So I know you've got a view on this, so I wanted to share it with you.
I appreciate it.
The other piece to this automation aspect is I remember a couple of seasons ago, I was interviewing another bearded guy named Mike Kovacs, founder of Clockwise in Castle Forge. And I guess we should probably put the disclaimer that you don't have to have a beard to work at Clockwise. No. This is all a joke, of course. No, Mike was talking about in order to get proper valuations for flexible real estate, we have to be able to look backwards at the data so we can predict forward. And so to me, this whole automation conversation plays into that. And if our industry is going to be taken seriously on as an asset class by investors, then we've got to be able to provide the data. And so to me, that sort of sums up everything we just discussed there. And if we can add offices into this equation as well as meeting rooms and day passes, I think we can get there.
But just to touch on a previous point that we discussed, it's how do you balance the time between the community and the people aspect, and then the back of house, spreadsheets access. Having tools and systems such as this frees up so much time to be able to then dedicate to the engagement, to the community, and to the other things that we need to be looking at.
Well said. Sums up the human aspect of what we're doing here. Because in order to deliver hospitality, you gotta be human. Before we close this out, James, we have to give a shout out to Sam Shamshay and the work you're doing with her at Flock. I want to give you an opportunity for all of our listeners to hear about Flock and tell them what it is and why they should connect.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Flock is something that we're building. It's the future leaders of co-working. We have a great cohort currently in the United States, and we're branching out into the UK. Flock is a community of individuals within co-working and flex that are early to mid stages of their career, looking to upskill, looking to meet other people within the same sort of peer point, and been able to connect with mentors, with industry leaders, and get their foot into the door where may not be available to them. It's something we're really proud to be building, and if anyone is at all interested, please drop us a note and we'd love to have a conversation.
And I think it's fair for me to announce this now that I'm very proud that Brave Ideas is partnering with Flock to offer all your Flock members a free premium subscription.
100%.
So really support what you guys are doing. I think it's a missing piece of the industry. So thank you for picking up the torch.
No, thank you. Thanks so much.
Awesome. Well, thank you for tuning in. And until next time, take care of yourself.